Hello boys and girls, welcome back to Crush Lusher Television. Alright, we're going to do areas of parallelograms part 2 this time. Part 2 means we're going to put it on a coordinate plane. So we're going to mix some geometry with some algebra. Alright, so we're going to do this practice problem first. So this practice problem, we have to have the vertices of the quadrilateral. So it gives us four vertices, A, B, C, and D. And don't worry if you don't have graph paper, because I don't. We're just going to graph it approximately on our paper, and then that should be good enough. All right. So we got to determine whether these 4 points, this quadrilateral, is a square, rectangle, or parallelogram, and then we need to find the area. Okay. So let's do it. Write down the important information, and then bam. Let's get to it. So A, B, C, D. So I'm going to draw a little picture. Always draw pictures in geometry. If they don't have it, it always helps understand what's going on. So -2, 2, bam. So A, -2, 2. Always put that right there because I'm probably going to use it later in the problem. Don't just put a dot. B is 4, 2. Boom, 4, 2. So this is 2, so it's going to be 4, 2. B, which is 4, 2. Bam. C, which is 5. So it goes a little bit further than that. 5, -1. Boop. That's C, 5, -1, bam. And then D is -1, -1. So something like that, bam. D is -1, -1. Connect the dots, la 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 la. Connect the dots, la 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 la. So it looks like that. So it's probably not going to be a square or rectangle. Why? Because those have right angles. But we're going to check anyway, just to make sure. So in order to figure out whether we have a parallelogram or not, so we get, or it might not be any of these, we have to figure out the slope, because we know that the slope of opposite sides on a coordinate plane is equal, so they're the same slope. So AB has to have the same slope as DC, and then AD has to have the same slope as BC. So if they have the same slope, that means that they're parallel and they'll never touch. So that's how you determine it. So let's do all of these. So AB first. We can sort of see that the slope is 0 right there, but we're just going to prove it anyway. So this is how we find our slope. We got X and Y. So we have -2, 2, which is A, and then 4, 2, which is B. So this is A and this is B. The change in Y over the change in X is the slope. So 2 to 2, that's 0 change. And then -2 to 4, that's 6. So you go 6 spaces. So your slope is going to be change in Y over change in X. That's 0 over 6, which is 0. Like if you have a pizza that's broken into 6 pieces and you get 0 of them, yeah, you get 0. You get nothing. Sorry. Then we have, let's go to DC also, or CD you could call it, same thing. So this is going to be kind of repetitive because you're doing the same thing over and over. So this is -1, -1, which is D, and then 5, -1, which is C. So change in Y, nothing. You're not changing at all. You're at the same place. And change in X is 6. So that's going to be 0 over 6. Change in Y over change in X, which is 0. So this means this is parallel because you have the same slope here and here. Now let's check to make sure these are parallel here. So now I'm going to do A to D. So AD. So it's X, Y. So that's going to be -2, 2, and then -1, -1. So here's A, here's D. Change in Y, 2 to -1, that's down 3. And then -2 to -1, that's up 1. You just have to envision a number line here. If you want to draw a number line, that helps too. So your slope stands for M. I don't know why the hell they have M, but we're going to give the people what they want. It's M. So -3 over 1, which is -3. So that's a negative slope, -3. So we're going to see whether this slope is also -3. That would mean that these two are parallel. So we have D, sorry, BC, right here. So 4, 2, 5, -1. This is down -3, down 3. 2 to -1 is -3. And then 4 to 5 is 1. So your slope is change in Y over change in X, -3 over 1, which is -3. Ding, 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 ding. So these slopes are the same. So we have this is parallel to this, and we have these two lines are parallel. So we have a parallelogram. So how do we know that we don't have a rectangle though, or a square? Well, that would mean that they have right angles, right? So how do you know that we have right angles? Well, do a little note to ourselves. Right angles or perpendicular lines. Write this down somewhere in your notes. Have opposite, what's the next thing starts with an R? Yeah, reciprocal slopes. So for example, if the slope was -3 here, slope is -3 in this problem, the opposite reciprocal would be 1/3. So you flip the numerator and denominator, and then opposite means you change the sign. So if this were -3 and this slope were 1/3, then I'd have a right angle, but I don't. So it can't be a square, it can't be a rectangle, so therefore it's got to be a parallelogram. So we prove that its opposite sides are parallel. Cool. All right, let's keep it going. Part B of this problem, find the area. We just did that last lesson. Area of a parallelogram is base times height. We proved it's a parallelogram, so there we go. So the base is here. So this is the base. And so I can use the distance formula if I want, or I can just look at it. Because look, the y doesn't change, does it? So the y doesn't change. But the x does change, -1 to 5. So it moves from -1 on the x to 5. So how many spaces is that if it moves from -1 to 5? Yeah, that's 6. So area equals the base is 6. Now the height is this. The height is this. So the height is just the change in y, isn't it? So you see how this starts at 2. So it's 2 here on the y on both of these. And then it goes down to -1 on the y. So it goes from 2 on the y to -1. So that's your distance here on the y, straight up and down. So 2 to -1, that's 3 spaces. So you have 6 is the base times 3, which is 18. Doesn't give us what the unit is, so I'm just going to say units squared. Bam. Got it. So this is a parallelogram with 18 units squared as your area. Cool. Let's do another one. Yeah. One more. Bam. So we have all of these right here. So we're going to do all these. So I'm going to do number 1 right here. Same rules apply. Determine whether it's a square, rectangle, or parallelogram, and then I'm going to find its area. Okay, same process. Here we go. First, you got to draw. First, draw picture. These are important steps, so write these down. This is your criteria for success. So -1, 2, bam, about there. So A is -1, 2, bam. B is 3, 2. Okay. C is 3, so this is 3 on the x, 3, -2. Something like that. Bam. And then D is -1, -2. Now if you want to, you can pause the video and see if you can do the whole thing yourself. See if you can determine what it is. You have to prove it though. You can't just look at it and be like, yeah, I think it's this. No, you got to actually prove it mathematically. So the picture doesn't give away that much. Maybe we have a right angle. Maybe we're leaning that way. I don't know. Maybe this is a square. Maybe there's a rectangle. Let's see. So the first thing we got to do is we have to do our area. So we do our slopes. Make sure that the slope is the same. So AB has to have the same slope as CD. So AB slope looks like it's 0. Let's prove it. X, Y, -1, 2, 3, 2. So that's 0 over 4. So your slope is 0 over 4, which is 0. Cool. So this slope is 0. Now let's say DC or CD. Let's make sure that is the same slope. So that's -1, -2, 3, -2. You can't just say, oh yeah, you just look at it. And no, you have to have proof. You have to show how you know that. Boom. So the slope is 0 over 4, which is 0. Cool. So that means that AB is parallel to DC. We good. Why? Because they have the same slope. All right, now let's see, make sure that AD and BC also are at the same slope. So AD. So -1, 2, and -1, -2. So this slope is -4 over 0. What? When you have 0 in the denominator, that's not cool. You can't have that. You can't break something into 0 pieces unless you're a magician or something. So this is undefined. So this vertical line, this is undefined slope. So let's see if BC also has undefined slope. So it's 3, 2, 3, -2, -4 over 0. Yeah, negative change in y over change in x. This is also undefined. That's how you can write undefined also. So this symbol and this mean the same thing. Undefined. Can't do it. Impossible. You can't have something broken into 0 pieces unless you just whoop, make it disappear. So what have we proven? That this side is parallel to this side. Okay. So we also know that, do we have a right angle? Do we have opposite reciprocals? Well, look, we have 0 out of 4 here, right? And so what would be the opposite reciprocal of that? So you need to flip it. So if you have 0 over 4 as your slope of both AB and DC, so that's your slope. The perpendicular slope, this is how you write perpendicular, right lines upside down T. Perpendicular slope would be 4 over 0 and then negative. Well, you can't have negative. This is undefined. And this is 0. Yeah, negative doesn't really matter in this case because undefined is just undefined. Doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. So 0 and undefined are opposite reciprocals. So that means that, ooh, we have a right angle here. Yeah. Okay, so now, this is either a rectangle or a square. I don't know. Let's see. We got to find the distance. So this distance here is what? Oh, that's the x's, right? That's a -1 and 3 because the y's don't change. So -1 and 3, the distance there is, boom, 4. Let's see what this distance here. This is the y distance. So this goes from 2 to -2. 2 to -2. So that's going to be, what? Yeah, 4. So 4 and 4, so that means that all the sides are congruent. So this is a square. Boom. This is a square. All right. Now, area is just base times height, which is 4 times 4, which is 16 units squared. Bam. Cool. This is a square because we have all sides congruent and we have perpendicular slopes, opposite reciprocals. Cool. All right, so now you've seen 2 problems. Now it's your turn. Bam. So you got all these. You got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have some practice down here before you hit up the exit quiz. Make sure you do the same steps that I do. You need to make sure you, 1, draw a picture. 2, determine the slopes. And then 3, look at the slopes to make sure that they are opposite reciprocals or not. And then determine the distances. Cool. All right. Nice job, everybody. Good work.